Hey friends, your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish, here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy GM Prep. In this weekly show, I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my own Sunday role-playing game. Today, we are running Numenera. This is part of an ongoing Numenera campaign called The Rise of the Fourth Emperor. Numenera is a game by Monty Cook Games. It uses the Cypher system. It is a really, really fun campaign, very, very fun world, a really flexible, improv-ready system that I enjoy thoroughly. I've been very excited to run this campaign. I've been really enjoying this campaign, and it's all been great. If you like this show, you can help me out by becoming a patron of Sly Flourish. Patrons of Sly Flourish are responsible for all of the things that you see that I put out. They also get access to all kinds of exclusive material, including exclusive videos, previews of videos, exclusive material like the City of Arches and other adventures that I have written, access to all kinds of stuff. It is a low price, and it's a great way to support the show. So if you like this show and you want to help out, you can do so by becoming a patron of Sly Flourish. And to the patrons of Sly Flourish, thank you so much for your support. It has been a couple of weeks since the last session, so I'm going to need to catch up a bit here. Let's take a look at our notes here and see what we've got. May 1st was when we played last. So yeah, just about 2 weeks. So in the last time, yeah, they were running a heist. So the whole current situation is that a very, very powerful otherworldly entity known as the Fourth Emperor, who used to rule over all life on the planet many millions of years ago, is returning. It has these very high-tech alien constructs that are sort of paving the way for it to return. The most prominent of these are these spherical constructs, these spherical super artificial intelligences known as the what are they called? The Heralds. And the characters saw the first herald arrive, a herald known as Feridon, but there are many of these heralds out there. And the heralds they're alien intelligences, right? They don't relate well to people. They don't understand people. People can't really understand them. But they're these huge spherical artificial intelligences that then try to manipulate people to build a world that supports the coming of the Fourth Emperor. So they had done so. They have these things called the Temples of the Heralds, right? There are many of these temples, and the temples are usually housed by nanos. Nanos are sort of like wizards in Numenera. They are people who are attuned to the super high-tech nanites that exist in the world. And so the heralds and the agents of the Fourth Emperor know that those who are able to connect to these nanites are very useful to them. So they've been kind of using them and harvesting them. And that has been something that's been going on. So there was a particular person named Kimley that was a friend of the characters who had become brainwashed by the Fourth Emperor, by the agents of the Fourth Emperor, and kind of started the ball rolling. She realizes she started the ball rolling on us. She was the one that activated the machines that called out to the heralds. The heralds came down. The heralds started rebuilding the world to support the Fourth Emperor. And so a big part of the campaign has been the characters getting Kimley. And when they needed to go get her, and they needed to break her connection to it so that they could have somebody that can help them out. And it's proved to be very useful. So in the last session, we had a kind of the second half of a big heist where they were going into the Temple of Feridon, the temple of one of the heralds, and they were going to get Kimley. But they couldn't just walk in the front door. Instead, they essentially went in through Numenera's version of cyberspace called the datasphere. The datasphere is like Tron, right? You can data cast in which your entire physical body goes into a digital world, travel across the digital world, and then real cast back out and turn back into your physical body again. But there's lots of different ways to use the datasphere. Sometimes it's very limited, like a cell phone. Other times you were fully projecting in, like in Tron. So the characters were like, well, we can get over there and not have to go to the front door if we can basically hack it from the datasphere. So they went into the datasphere. They had some fun Tron stuff. They made their way across. They got inside. They managed to convince Kimley. They sort of hacked the system on the inside. Managed to convince Kimley that she needed to get into the datasphere. Kimley then data casted into the datasphere, and it's like, what is going on? And then we began with the Feridon recognizing that this thing happened. And this was pretty interesting. Basically, Feridon sort of put a finger on one of the characters. The Feridon is very powerful. The Feridon also exists in the datasphere and in the real world. And was like, what is happening here, right? It doesn't understand what's going on. It can't even comprehend the idea of like a rescue operation, right? This doesn't make any sense to it at all. So they So the characters are dealing with the fact that the Pterodon is sort of pressing a finger on top of them, holding them in place. And then every so often, like its attention would be wavered and it would move its attention and the finger would lessen a little bit and they sort of got it. And they escaped and they dropped a bomb inside. I think they real cast in, put a bomb on the Virtus. The Virtus is sort of your connection point between the datasphere and the real world. Then went back in, grabbed her, hightailed it out of the datasphere version of the temple. They saw the whole temple basically go offline as the Virtus was destroyed. And then they made their way back to Bodrov, the city, their city. They real cast back in Bodrov Kimli, they call them the anti-voice nanites. These are the nanites that will remove her connection to the Fourth Emperor. She suddenly realizes what she did, but she still has all the memories of what's happened. She's like, oh my God, what have we done? What have I done? Right? I could have caused the extinction of life on the planet. And then they also hear a big boom and they go outside and basically a satellite, the Pterodon was so taken by the fact that somebody got stolen. And what did that mean? It's like, you know what? We're just going to blow up this whole temple. And it dropped a tungsten rod from space and hit with the equivalent of a nuclear bomb and blew up the temple of Pterodon, destroyed the whole thing. And Pterodon itself flew back up into space or went somewhere. I don't know where Pterodon went. But they blew up the temple. They just got rid of everybody that's there. And including like 12 nanos who had volunteered to be plants they knew they had to be captured in order to rescue a bunch of other nanos that one of the other characters has. So then the players had to make a decision about where they were going to next. What were they going to do? And they eventually decided that their plan is that they now know that they need to crack a herald. And cracking a herald is no small task. So they know they have to do this. Sorry, getting my windows organized. They know they have to do this. And they know it's going to be really hard. And they know they can't just do it on their own. They're going to need more. So the question was, what does it take to crack a herald? What do you need to use? And there was a couple of different options that they had. And one was that they can crack it with people known as breakers. Breakers are essentially nanos that have been previously connected, that can disconnect, but then go in and sort of hack it. And they know that there's a bunch of these at a village called Scarlet Watch. Scarlet Watch was a small village outside of Bodrov, probably a couple days journey outside of Bodrov, there just happened to be a lot of nanos, a lot of people that were born there. Something about the area made more nanos than normal, right? Nanos are usually pretty rare, but they were actually pretty common. So the characters were originally recognized that village was under threat, but then we had a 14-month jump in the story, and that random 14-month jump. And after the 14 months, it meant they had already been taken, right? At this point, the Fourth Emperor had already sent a bunch of these guys known as Orgolians, and the Orgolians had invaded the village. They had separated the nanos from anybody else, killed a bunch of people, took the nanos somewhere else, and now those nanos are hooked up and doing work for the Fourth Emperor. So the characters need to get to Scarlet Watch, figure out where the nanos have been taken, get there, break the nanos out, escape them, and then make those their new breakers. And the breakers is basically a bunch of nanos working together to crack a single thing like Pterodon. So that's going to be that's really what today's adventure is going to be, is the beginning of this arc. And this arc is like the Scarlet Watch arc. And it's going to be sort of like a reverse Seven Samurai, right? It's like a small village. It's already been invaded by evildoers. The characters have to figure out how to deal with the evildoers and break the evildoers, but then also rescue these nanos, probably a couple dozen nanos, probably about 24 nanos that are there. And so they chose to do that one. They had some other options, like going and finding an icebreaker of a ancient weapon, an ancient datasphere weapon that they could use to crack the Pterodon from a group known as the Hive. The Hive is what took over after the Fourth Emperor lost the original time. And the players are like, I don't know about letting something like that free. So they decided, no, let's do it ourselves. Let's do it with the nanos. So that is what we're going to do. And that is where we begin today's session. So we will create a new session planning template. As always, I'm using Notion to do my campaign planning. I love Notion as a tool for doing campaign planning. If you want to learn more about Notion, you can find out all about it in the show notes in this video. So we start by generating a new session planning template. Today is 15 May. Sunday, Numenera. And we start off by reviewing our characters. I know that I have at least one character who's out. I think Samji is not in today. So we'll see who else is here. So we have Baiko. Baiko is an intuitive jack who rides the lightning. I don't have a whole ton of background on Baiko, and I don't know that matters too much. I don't know that the player is too worried about not having a lot of integrated background. So that's been fine. Baiko was one of those that actually was part of the 14-month jump. He had done the 14-month jump. We have Cecilia. Cecilia I forget what she was before, but now she has become a hideous jack who wields power with precision. In that she was one of the ones that actually spent 14 months in the world, like as things had moved forward. As things had moved forward, she moved forward with it. And part of that was that her physical form changed. She was sort of like a humanoid bee person, and now is becoming less and less humanoid. Like her face kind of broke away, and now she's got a bee head, right? And she's kind of, hideous to the people that are there, but she uses this, right? And she only has a couple of months left to live. One of the things is that her species has a lifespan that's limited. And it was going to be like a year and a half, and then there was a 14-month jump, so she only has a couple months left to live. So that is pretty interesting. She sort of has been leading the revolution, the secret revolution of what's been going on over the past 14 months. She actually rescued a bunch of nanos from Bodrov and brought them into the datasphere, and now they have a location in the datasphere. I forget the name of the location, called the Nano Hive. Right. And the Nano Hive is where all the current nanos reside digitally, and they're hidden away and kind of sealed off. And so there isn't a physical version of them. They can't sort of be gotten at, right? Because there's no place to do it. And again, the Fourth Emperor is like thinking, agents of the Fourth Emperor think so big, they tend to lose the small things. So, so that definitely plays out. So Cecilia is sort of that. We have Jad the Shade, played by Joe. Jad is a meddlesome jack who exists partially out of phase. Again, I don't have a tremendous background on Jad. I should probably kind of tug on that a little bit. Juniper is a cheerful nano who possesses a shard of the sun. I think she was one of the people who jumped forward, and she used to be very optimistic, but she's sort of losing her optimism the more, like, as she saw kind of what happened, which is actually a little bit of a problem in this campaign. It got really dark really fast, and Numenera is supposed to be this sort of like really wondrous, high fantasy kind of beautiful place, and I of course turn it into like a dead world filled with methane gas and giant AIs that are trying to kill everybody. So like, I got to be a little careful of making the downbeats too big, which means I want to turn the upbeats really high, and we'll get into that when we talk about the game. We have Nikia, beneficent jack who acts without consequence. Nikia was another character who did not make the jump for 14 months and has lived 14 months. And Nikia and Cecilia together have been kind of leading this revolution. And that's been really kind of interesting. So that's been fun. And then we have Samji, Jay is not at our game today, Samji1138L, who is a construct, a protective glaive who fuses flesh and steel. He was built. There's actually an army of Samjis out there hidden away, and that might come into play, right? Like I think that will be a fun secret. It's a secret for a character who's not here, so it doesn't matter too much, but there are an army of Samjis buried out in the world somewhere. They could be activated to fight against the Fourth Emperor. Are there any other sort of secrets or scenes or anything else that I really want to do with these characters? Anything, especially like the 5 characters that are going to be here today. So with Baiko, intuitive jack who rides the lightning. Cecilia, the hideous jack. I mean, a lot of them, like they're tied in. So I don't really, nothing leaps out. So Nikia's mother, who also happens to be Jad's best friend, is now kind of sort of working with the Fourth Emperor in order to not have all of Bodrov destroyed. The cities that revolted against the Emperor were blown up. So they're like, well, we don't want that to happen. So we have to pretend to be working with him, and in the meantime, figure out what we can do. So it's not really a secret, but basically, and her name is, let's look at her NPC, Maeve Jacobs, is trying to keep the Fourth Emperor at bay without them destroying Bodrov. So an interesting thing here is Maeve can't know too much, right? The more she knows, the more risk there is that she will have to expose it to the Fourth Emperor. And so they can only give information. So I think that like one interesting thing would be if there is it would be kind of neat if there was a device that was sort of a one-way pipe of information that the characters could give to Maeve, so that Maeve couldn't know anything more than what they exactly tell her, right? So Maeve has an implant that can receive one-way communication from the hive. That would be a good piece of information. Anything else? Cheerful nano who possesses a shard of the sun. Yeah. So strong start. We're beginning. They're in Bodrov. They need to escape Bodrov. They could actually return. So the thing is, like, getting out of Bodrov, they could just try to make their way out through like secret tunnels and stuff like that. They have it, but they also could datacast out, and they could go back to the crypt of their friend. That would be pretty funny. I kind of like this idea. The big skull dude. Where's big skull dude? Takrin. The vault of Takrin, right? Do the characters want to leave through the secret tunnels of Bodrov, or datacast to the vault of Takrin? So that could be fun. I would expect that they might go to the vault of Takrin. And if they do, it would be really funny if the creature that they had teleported away from with their 14-month jump shows back up a year and a half later, like it had been wandering through the caverns and stuff like that, and then it shows up and it like looks at him like, oh my god, I guess we got to fight it again. That would be kind of a funny scene. So depending on their action, we could kind of cheat and use the same machine in different ways. I'll have to go back. Let's go back to my old notes and see what to do. Old session notes. This was bad. Was this the third? The dissector, right? The dissector is from the Bestiary 3 at page 49. And I've got, look at me having done my homework, page 49. The dissector. So here is the dissector. And I think, well, let's see. So we'll have, if they go through the Vault of Takrin, if they go through the Vault of Takrin, they face the dissector. If they make their way through the lower tunnels, it would be kind of neat. So they should find like an interesting location. The Science Fantasy Generator. The Science Fantasy Generator is a sheet from Sly Flourish's Uncovered Secrets Volume 2, available to patrons at Sly Flourish. So let's see here. We are going to create a location. This is a location that they run into while traveling down the shaft of Bodrov. So they're leaving the city of Bodrov. And what do they find? So we first will roll is a 6. A ship. Okay, that's kind of interesting. All right, it's like a crashed ship, like embedded in this thing. I kind of like that. And we have a war machine too, or yeah, like we'll combine ship and war machine, right? A warship of some sort, wrecked warship. I like that. A condition is 3, burnt. It is a charred out warship. We can give it another condition too for funsies. 6, thunderous. Right. Okay. Its current state is 19, chaotic. It's like a chaotic ship. Maybe it's sort of outer worldly. And origin is 2, a cybernetic. Ooh. All right. So I like this. So we have a cybernetic, chaotic, charred warship embedded in the shaft of Bodrov. So that's cool. Previous age ship used to through the outside. So it's a plane. It's like a spelljammer. We found a spelljammer. That's cool. And we want to throw some monsters in there. So let's go to our Bestiary 3. They have big random tables in here somewhere. There we go. So exploring ruins. Right? So first of all, we will roll to see which exploring ruins, table A or table B. Odd, so it's 19, and then we roll a D100. We get a 41, and a 41 is a roller rim. Now we need to look at Roller Rim. It looks like Roller Rim is in the bestiary. I think that's in the bestiary 3. Here it is. No two are quite alike. Each is formed by fossil memory taken from the datasphere given existence. Think the ancient function that operates erratically and probably incorrectly. Visual feature of all roller arms share in this place. Empty hollow that can be seen through. Kind of interesting, like almost weird two-dimensional shadow creatures, right? And they might be, so I kind of like that. Okay, so we'll roll a rim, and that's Bestiary 3, page 132. Whoops. I lost my notes. What page did I say it was? I always forget the freaking page number. 132. Okay. And then let's have another critter there for fun. So 20, 20 is Exploring Ruins Table A. And we have a 47. 47 is Dream Sallow. Dream Sallows are in the original bestiary. Oh, like a tree. Branches covered with broad pale green leaves droop from a brown. It was a great tree whose roots seemed strong. A look beneath the drooping branches revealed the remains of previous visitors, all of whom died in their sleep, though evidence is not obvious. Dream Sallows prey on the minds of thinking creatures. Perhaps it means a sustaining for some larger cause. Whoa. That's cool. That's scary. I like that. So we're going to have a Roller Rim and Dream Sallow. And I forgot the page number again. 37. That is a pretty cool. So we have this like weird, crazy ship. The ship is embedded halfway in this like massive chamber or tunnel. It sort of crashed. It's not really repairable. You could probably harvest some ciphers from it and stuff like that. And growing out of it is like a weird semi-organic, semi-mechanical tree. And there's these weird like two-dimensional creatures. It's almost like this weird grove, right? And there's these creatures in there, and there's like humanoids that are sort of trapped in there, all sort of desiccated. There's probably a couple that are not as desiccated, and it's sort of using their energy, and they realize like, wow, and maybe they can learn some technology from this that they could actually use to support the breakers. Like maybe this tree can be used to sort of combine nanites together. That could be really cool. I like that so much. I'm going to put it somewhere. I don't know where though. Right, but I like the idea that it's happening there. So we'll see. This is kind of cool. So I've got some starting scenes, right? I've got those scenes. Then they travel to Scarlet Watch. They could probably meet. So we probably want to have another location along the way. I usually like to have like one interesting location that the characters sort of discover along the way. I don't want, travel to me is not like the most interesting thing, but kind of having like a scene, I think always helps, like, halfway or towards the end of the second day or whatever. So we'll have a location, 20, a datasphere. We'll go with megalith. I'm going to pick the monument. I think they've seen a megalith before. And the condition of this megalith is 20. Gravity-defying megalith. All right, that's cool. A description is 2. It is an ancient megalith. I want to give it another condition. 19. A transparent, gravity-defying ancient megalith. Its origin is 4. Aquatic. Okay, yeah. So, how does that make sense, Mike? So, fantastic location. Ancient, transparent, gravity, megalith of Aquan origin. So I think it's like a frame, right? Frame of the deep, right? And it's essentially a portal, right? It's a weird ancient portal that's kind of in the middle of a cracked desert, but if you walk through it, you go right into the bottom of the ocean. And I think this is actually a place where they get to meet their old friends. It's the people they haven't seen in a while, which is Navro and Burham. And I think Burham uses this to kind of go home every so often. Oh, why does not the auto-sort? Naevro. Navro and Burham are there. That could be kind of cool. So they get to meet their old friends. And there's this frame that they realize goes into the deep, right? Like they can see it. And you could like walk through it. And the problem is like pressure is a problem, right? So you need something to deal with pressure because you're going to suddenly you get like instant bends, right? But there's some pills and things that people could take. And I think, yeah, it might be cool if they go there and maybe they run into Navro and Burham, who have been kind of like, yeah, we've been staying away from things. We've been going to the ocean, but yeah. So that could be kind of fun. So a secret clue could be Navro and Burham have spent the last few months in the deep to avoid the troubles of the Steadfast. The Steadfast is the general region that they're in. So that's pretty cool. So they travel to Scarlet Watch. Then they see Scarlet Watch, and then they have to make choices about what they're going to do, right? Their goal is to rescue the nanites, the nanos, kidnapped, imprisoned by the Orgolians. Right, cool. So another location, and we're going to have to make a new one, is, let's go to locations. Now let's make a new one. I think I have Scarlet Watch, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, I already have Scarlet Watch. Oh, look, I even have a map already. And I even have like underground ruins. Look at me. Look at me, like, preparing for some stuff. I think there'll be some people from Scarlet Watch hidden out, right? So, yeah, so let's go back to the campaign. And fantastic location. Village of the first one. And then I just saw Demi of Scarlet Watch could be an NPC that they get to meet. And let's see, we have Navro, right? We definitely want to have them. Are there any other NPCs that are jumping right out? Takran, of course. Takran's always with them. Takran's their pal, their lich friend, their chrome skull lich friend that they carry around. So that's pretty cool. So I need another location. And this is the location where the Orgolians have taken the nanos and hidden them away. And I'm going to start, I think we're going to go with the location thing again. We might have to roll a couple times to see what we got. So this is the location. 20. Datasphere. I can't, I already got Datasphere stuff. A war vault. So an old war vault. This could be pretty cool. Oh, this could tie into Samji's thing. All right, so we have a war vault. The condition of the war vault is, we already rolled transparent, we'll do another one. Acidic, right? There's like old pieces of war machines burned in acidic. That is an ancient war vault. Let's try something else. Stop rolling twos, man. 17, a smoking acidic war vault. And it is of 5. Avian, I don't know about. I think I'm pretty good with that. So we have an ancient, acidic, smoky war vault. Cool. All right. And this is what it used to be. Now it has become a processing center for the Fourth Emperor. What is the name of this place? So first of all, let's go to Dyson's. Let's go find a map for it. I love going to Dyson's to find my maps because he's got so many maps. So we want kind of a cool place, an old war vault, right? It could be a multi-story thing. It's probably buried in a mountain somewhere. So it's probably more dungeon-like. Ooh, that's awfully big. Probably too big. This one, that's the one I used for the Temple of Faradon, so we can't use it. But the fact that it might be similar to the Temple of Faradon isn't so bad. This one looks pretty cool. This one looks interesting. Calls it the Root Cellar, right? But this could be so. How does one get in here? What's the where's the entry? Where's the entry point in this? Is it stairs? Okay, so this is the start. All right. Yeah, it says up. Right. Tiny little thing that says up. Okay, so that's cool. All right. I like it. Do we like it with or without a grid? Because I always like to make things big. So I like to make all of these squares 10-foot squares. So do I like it with or without a grid? Because we don't really use squares. I'm going to use it without a grid. And we copy that image and we're going to create. So I need a name for this vault. What's a cool Amberfall? We'll go with Amberfall. Because it's like acidic and it was weird sort of yellowish glow that comes from it. Amberfall. So we're going to call it that. Why not? So Amberfall, the War Machine Ruins. And I dropped in a map. Cool. So this is where, yeah, and I think there's sort of what would it look like on the outside? right? Because it's mostly underground. So basically a vault door, you go into the vault door and you find these old rickety stairs that sort of lead down to this buried armory, right? Sure. Let's see. It could be that there's like a big lift here too. Like, I think there's like ruined lifts and things like that this place used to be. It's sort of like it's sort of sunk into the ground, right? And so now access here is limited. And why? So I think that they probably have the equivalent. Where have they put their nanos? Probably in this chamber, this long chamber. They probably have them on these pillars, and the pillars are sort of connected. And maybe at the end of this thing, in the lower left, is where at that big curve in the lower side, that's where they have their machinery to connect them to the Fourth Empire. And what are they doing? Probably are they building nanos? All right, they have a bunch of physical people here, and they are keeping them here. They are using them to do what? I guess like rapid nano configuration, but I've kind of done that before. Is there something else that the Fourth Emperor is doing? Maybe they're like, they're sort of constructing the door, right? The door that through which the Fourth Emperor is going to come about. That could be something. Is there any other? This is where our secrets and clues matter. Let's see. We go to our locations. So this is Amberfall. Yeah. So let's start digging into our secrets and clues here. This is where we need to really dive in. So what are they? Let's see. So Scarlet Watch has a strange propensity. Let's see. The people of Scarlet Watch have a strange propensity to be nanos. About 24. It must have something to do with the huge statue of the Scarlet Watcher, under whose shadow the town lies. The Orgolians took about 24 nanos from the village to Amberfall. They have not been seen since. So what else? We know that the Fourth Emperor uses nanos for a few different purposes. They forge more nanites, which takes a tremendous amount of cognitive energy to forge a single nanite. They need nanos to open the door between the world and the outside, where the Fourth Emperor resides. What else would you want? They can forge. Okay, the nanos can also forge and create more Orgolians. They can sort of, they manage the tanks where Orgolians are manufactured. And I would think that it's quite possible that Amberfall is one such forge. An Orgolian nanos maintain the breakers, the sky breakers. I got a rattle on my desk. Maintain the sky breakers as they convert the atmosphere to methane. What else? I guess, that's kind of enough, right? Is there any other kind of cool thing that so Amberfall is used to join multiple nanos together to serve a single purpose. What's our brain networks called? Neural networks are meshed together, which tends to shatter their individual identities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have my 10 secrets. Is that enough? I think that's probably enough. We'll see. So let's talk about So I've got my locations, I've got my secrets, I've got NPCs. I like to roll treasure at the time. I've been skimping on treasure. I'm not doing a great job. Whoops. I'm not doing a great job with treasure. I'll have to spend some more time with that. Unfortunately, I don't think I have time right now. Maybe next week, because they're only going to get so far, right? I'm kind of building up multiple sessions right now. I've got a lot of stuff that we're going to do. So what is the situation if we're going to go to our Scarlet Watch? Like, what's the situation in Scarlet Watch, right? There's probably 100 people here. They're broken, but still going about their daily activities. There's about 30 Orgolians in the town. There's about 30 Orgolians kind of wandering around the town. And let's see. So let's go to my bestiary here for a second. I created a little Fourth Emperor bestiary of monsters I thought were good. And I think there's a few different. So there's an Orgolian envoys. These are in Destiny, page 270. So we have Orgolian soldiers. We have Orgolian envoys. We have Orgolian testers. That's in the other place, right? So there are some monsters. Just, I should have copied and pasted them. Let's see. So we have Orgolian envoys, we have Orgolian testers, we have Orgolian soldiers. I think it would be really cool if they had a couple of like really big Orgolian constructs, these like ancient constructs, right? What will we call those? Orgolian, and they kind of walk around. Oh, you know what they could be like? They could be like what were those things called? I ran them before. But sort of like giant, sort of semi-metallic ape creatures, right? That they tower. They're about 25 feet high. They're really big. Orgolian myrmidons, yeah, that's great, right? And there's probably a couple of, in Scarlet Watch, 30 Orgolians. There are 2 Orgolian, what are they called? Damn it, envoys, and 2 Orgolian myrmidons. So that's what's going on in the town, right? And then if you go to, and the current situation is the envoys are sort of, acting as the town leadership. They work with the town leadership. They kind of run things. That right there, that little central gate place is where they go. There is also some Scarlet Watch citizens have escaped and live in some old tunnels below the town. And that's this area, right? That there's kind of beneath the town, there are a couple of passageways, a couple of caves that the Orgolians have not found. And there's probably a dozen refugees, a dozen Scarlet Watch citizens. Are they refugees? This includes 4 nanos who haven't been discovered. That's pretty cool. That's a good situation there. And then we have, so that's the current situation in, the working with the town leadership to keep people under control while they run more tests to find more nanos. That's kind of a secret. Both of these are secrets. We're going to cut those out and we're going to put them in the secrets. That's cool. What else do we got? So then we have Amberfall. And what's the situation in Amberfall? So, text. Oops. There are probably fewer, a dozen Orgolian soldiers. Most of the soldiers are here. They don't really need them. There are, probably a half dozen Orgolian, what are they called? Testers. Are there any like big bosses? There are some other creatures lurking about. Let's see. So all these like weird ruined places, there's like other weird creatures down there below the lab. Other creatures lurking below Grab the Orgolians haven't bothered with. Wasn't there a 4th Orgolian thing? I don't remember a 4th. Was there another one in the bestiary? Let's take a look. We had an Overlord automaton, bestiary 2, page 123. Let's take a look at that. Let's look through this list here. Envoys and soldiers. Fusers could be kind of neat. Spider-like aristocrat of the 4th Empire, bestiary 3, page 119. Let's take a look at that. Powerful energy beings left over from prior world. Most are imprisoned. I think was that what I was looking at? Yeah. It's kind of cool. It's probably too much for this place. So I don't think I'm going to use that. Like weird spider-like. It's also challenge 9. It'd be really, really, really tough. It's cool though. What's that other one I liked? Overlord Automaton. Bestiary 2, 123. Look at that guy. Sort of like a mini Herald, right? What a snob. I like that. It's a Bestiary 2, 123. What's it called? An Overlord? We'll call it the Overlord. Yeah, so it's kind of commanding things here, right? It's sort of in control of things. So I think I think I've got enough. I certainly have enough for today's session, right? Oh, how many? There are 24. There are 24 nanos of Scarlet Watch hooked up to pylons that drive manufacture all over the world. Cool. I think I have enough to go with today's game. Let's take a quick last look through our notes here. I don't have treasure. I've got monsters. I've got, and I've mixed a bunch of monsters in here, but I think I've got most of what I think I need. Vice Black says, how long do you think the campaign is going for? I am not sure. I don't know. I get asked this often. I think, to me, the general path is they're going to crack a Herald. When they crack a Herald, they get access to a control system. And then when they can crack the satellite above it, they can use that to start bombing the Fourth Empire. I think it might happen pretty quickly. So, but I don't know, probably 4 or 5, 6 sessions. I'm not really sure. It's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm playing it by ear, right? We're not in any major rush. So I want to say. So I think I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me while I've been preparing my game. If you enjoyed this show, you can help me out in 4 ways. You can subscribe to the Sly Flourish newsletter. You can support me directly on Patreon. You can go to the Sly Flourish bookstore and pick up any of my books, or you can subscribe to my videos right here on YouTube. Thank you all very much. Have a great day, and get out there and play a role-playing game.